Today is indeed significant for our three agencies which supervise business entities for compliance with their AML-CFT obligations. Since being vested with the authority to supervise non-regulated financial institutions and listed businesses for AML-CFT compliance, the FIU has continuously sought to develop meaningful and productive working relationships with both the Central Bank and the Securities and Exchange Commission. The signing of these two important MOUs today is therefore a reflection of that growing relationship, which is geared towards strengthening of our country's AML-CFT regime. The importance of cooperation and information sharing among the three supervisory authorities cannot be overemphasized. The signing of these MOUs is an acknowledgement of the significance of maintaining and improving regulator-to-regulator communication. It will improve across-the-board exchange of information, thereby enhancing regulatory oversight of all supervised entities in Trinidad and Tobago. As we in Trinidad and Tobago prepare for the fourth round mutual evaluation, soon to come in January 2015, we, the supervisory authorities, are taking another crucial step towards fulfilling the requirements of the Financial Action Task Force. These recommendations of the FATF emphasize the necessity for AML-CFT supervisors to establish mechanisms to facilitate coordination, cooperation, and the exchange of information in the broadest possible terms. Each regulator, the Central Bank, TTSEC, and the FIU, has the legislative authority to request and share information. The MOUs we are signing today will ensure that the processes and procedures are in place to promote operational effectiveness. Because as we are aware, it is not just sufficient to have the technical instruments in place. We must show that, in fact, they are being effective to produce the desired result. So the signing and implementation of both of these MOUs will redound to the benefit of us all. And I am confident that we will continue to find ways to further advance and enhance our cooperative efforts. Cooperation and information exchange on the basis of reciprocity are critical building blocks in the foundation of effective supervision. And we know we have had, in fact, a strong working relationship in certain respects among the two agencies. For example, in relation to TTSEC, we have had training opportunities where we've shared. And with respect to Central Bank, our enforcement efforts are being conducted jointly with Central Bank. So we look forward in the FIU to further strengthening our collaboration with our two regulatory partners. Together, we will strive to build an effective national supervisory regime to detect and to deter money laundering, financing of terrorism, and related crimes. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Today we are here to sign with the FIU. We have already done so with the Central Bank, and I'll say a few words about that. My other colleagues from the Central Bank, from the TTSEC, from the FIU, and all colleagues, members of the press, I hope you have good things to say about us a little bit later. Welcome. I want to give a little background to what we are doing here, because in recent times we have been involved ourselves in a spate of signing of memoranda of understanding, both nationally and internationally. Now, Section 19(1) of our Act, which was passed in 2012, states that the Commission may consult, cooperate with, and provide information to the Central Bank of Trinidad and Tobago, the Financial Intelligence Unit, any other regulatory agency in Trinidad and Tobago, and any other entity in Trinidad and Tobago in order to minimize duplication of effort and to maximize the protection of investors. The basis of the existence of the TTSEC is the protection of investors. And that is what we are here about today. And one of the functions of the Commission is to cooperate with and provide assistance to regulatory authorities in Trinidad and Tobago or elsewhere. So as I started by telling you, in recent times we have signed quite a few of these memoranda. In June this year, we signed, which was the big one, the IOSCO Multilateral Memorandum of Understanding concerning consultation and cooperation and the exchange of information. We call it simply the MMOU. It is a tool used by securities regulators worldwide to help ensure effective regulation and to preserve and strengthen the international securities market. It represents a common understanding amongst its signatories about how they will consult, cooperate, and exchange information for securities regulatory enforcement purposes worldwide. In January this year, we signed a memorandum of understanding with the Central Bank, Governor Rambran and myself, and that represents a common understanding by the two authorities about how we will consult with each other, cooperate, and exchange information for regulatory enforcement purposes. The memorandum serves to promote integrity, efficiency, and financial soundness of the capital market in Trinidad and Tobago, which is the big concern of the Trinidad and Tobago Securities and Exchange Commission. In addition to that, further, it was a few days later, in fact, we signed a protocol with the Securities Dealers Association of Trinidad and Tobago, perhaps our largest stakeholder group. This recognizes and formalizes the ongoing collaborative working relationship between the TTSEC and the SDAT. The premise of this protocol is that both the Commission and the SDAT wish to engender and nurture a long-term positive relationship wherein members from both organizations have an opportunity to consult with each other and work together to identify and address industry concerns. In April, that's just last month, we went abroad again, and we signed this time a multilateral memorandum of understanding for the exchange of information and cooperation and consultation with the Caribbean group and with members of what is called the Caribbean Group of Securities Regulators, of which Trinidad and Tobago Securities and Exchange Commission is a member. This agreement aims to facilitate mutual cooperation in the conduct of the regulatory and supervisory functions under the relevant securities laws, regulations, and rules in the respective jurisdictions, including specific initiatives between jurisdictions that will require such cooperation and collaboration. This MMOU, which was long in the making, acknowledges the importance of information sharing within the Caribbean region, and not just within the frontiers of any one country, to mitigate or reduce, where possible, issues of arbitrage and the importance of compliance with relevant international standards. Now, here we are today to sign this extremely important memorandum of understanding with the Financial Intelligence Unit. As a background, we know already that our responsibility at the TTSEC is to consult, cooperate, provide information to the Financial Intelligence Unit, and it arises from the cooperative functions pursuant to the Section 19 that I cited above. Whilst under Section 16 of the FIU Act of Trinidad and Tobago, the FIU may cooperate and liaise with any person who is able to assist in the provision of information relevant to an analysis of a suspicious transaction or suspicious activity report. The FIU, you may know, is also empowered to request information from inter alia, a public authority like ourselves. Further, pursuant to Regulation 22 of the FIU regulations, the FIU may share or request financial information from agencies like ourselves, authorities, and persons when cooperating and liaising pursuant to Section 16 of their Act. So what are the issues? There are some pertinent issues which arise in the absence of a memorandum of understanding to facilitate the relationship between the TTSEC and the FIU. First of all, the obvious, there is an absence of a formalized process for the sharing of information. It has always been there, it's informal, and whereas that works, it is better in our view to have a formal arrangement, which is what this does. There's likely to be, in the absence of it, the appearance of arbitrary and unauthorized requests for information. There this happens, an unwillingness to share information. I mean, it has never happened before, but that could always happen. And there's likely to be an inefficient use of resources, and more importantly, concerns surrounding confidential information and resulting liability. So what do we intend from this MOU? We intend to use it as an instrument to aid ourselves, the Commission, and the FIU as well, with the investigation and prosecution of persons suspected of money laundering and terrorist financing and criminal activity related to money laundering and terrorist financing. Some of the information that is required for the activity of the FIU comes up before us, before sometimes it could appear before the FIU. So it is noteworthy then that in all of this, the Trinidad and Tobago Securities Exchange Commission, the Central Bank of Trinidad and Tobago, and the Financial Intelligence Unit will all have arrangements with one another. We are going to complete this cycle this morning upon the execution of these two MOUs today. As I indicated to you, we have already signed one with the Central Bank of Trinidad and Tobago. Today, the FIU is going to sign with each of us and complete the circle. And we all look forward to the collaboration that will follow, which is going on. I don't want anybody, and I don't want anybody to believe that that has not been happening. This is just a formalization of relations. So when I go and Governor Amran goes, the other people are bound by the same rules. And of course, when Susan leaves as well, although she's much younger than all of us. So thanks very much, and thanks for being here, and we look forward to the future.
So I would simply say good morning and welcome to what is certainly a historic moment for all three financial regulators, and a special welcome to Suzanne. I understand this is the first time you're in the boardroom of the Central Bank, so very special welcome to you. As Dr. Watson has said, the circle is being completed this morning. Every day, every one of us in this room sees threats to our economy and to our country. Each threat is different, and each one requires a different tactic to combat. We know our enemies fairly well. We study them, we research them, and we look for new sophisticated tools to fight them. White-collar criminals, organized crime, fraudsters, and money launderers. A hydra we all become fixated upon. Sometimes we are so busy chopping off the heads that grow back, we don't see the tentacles stretching outside our range of vision and sneaking up behind us. In the last 6 months, the country's three financial regulators have taken it upon themselves to move past just guarding our individual territories. At the very beginning of this year, when the Central Bank signed an MOU with the SEC, I underscored the value of collaboration. That collaboration is bearing fruit, as preparations are now underway for a joint Central Bank SEC on-site examination of a systemically important financial institution. We each have unique powers, and many times we each fight the same enemies. But these enemies learn our weaknesses, and while we battle from one side, they come at us from unguarded flanks. It is in these unguarded flanks where one of us may have more experience, and we can be of greater use to each other and to our country. Those are the unguarded moments that Dr. Watson was talking about in the absence of an MOU. So as regulators, we need to watch each other's back and guard against those tentacles that maneuver from one territory to another. That is why these agreements are so powerful. The three financial regulators in Trinidad and Tobago are now using simple but powerful cooperation methods to make sure we fight our enemies from all sides. So you watch my back, and the Central Bank will have yours. The signing of these memoranda of understanding is a sign that while we each have specific areas to patrol, we are willing to help out each other and lend expertise. This collaboration will develop a regulatory framework that offers protection, consistency, and stability. The signing of the two MOUs today, that is between the Central Bank and the FIU, and between the TTSEC and the FIU, means that more information, more resources, and more specialists are cooperating to crack down on money laundering and terrorism financing in Trinidad and Tobago. As we all know, money laundering activities do not only affect our financial sector. It deprives us of valuable economic and social benefits, and it corrodes the stability of our economy. And as many of you know, the Caribbean is wedged between the world's primary producer of cocaine to the south and its primary consumer markets to the north. This makes the Caribbean a transit point for a torrent of narcotics. Estimates place the net annual inflows of cocaine-related funds into the Caribbean at around some US $6 billion. That is actually far larger than many of the economies in the Caribbean. Organized crime, therefore, generates a vast amount of cash. Our financial institutions are used to provide a legal cover for these illegal gains. These gains that taint our financial system and economy. And as you well know, organized crime uses diverse methods to disguise their money laundering activities, and our banking, insurance, and security sectors are vulnerable because of the services and instruments they offer. Even the intermediaries in these sectors are vulnerable, as they may take on transactions on behalf of these financial institutions. No single regulatory action or institution in itself can effectively prevent these activities. However, an alliance with the financial regulators will certainly reinforce the regulatory environment as it plugs the loopholes and thwarts efforts to use regulatory arbitrage to weave transactions through the financial sector. Trinidad and Tobago, as a member of the Caribbean Financial Action Task Force, is fully committed to implementation of the 40 recommendations of the Financial Action Task Force aimed at combating money laundering and the terrorism of financing activities. And as both Dr. Watson and Suzanne have indicated, our country is currently focused on preparations for the fourth round mutual evaluation that takes place in January of next year. And the central bank is certainly contributing to the country's preparations for the fourth round. In addition to the banking and insurance sector, the central bank is conducting targeted on-site AML-CFT examinations of bureau de charge and insurance brokers. Our examiners will join with the FIU to soon conduct on-site examinations of credit unions. We will also carry out examinations of 5 systemically important financial institutions that were recently brought under our purview. A significant element of the fourth round mutual evaluation is a national risk assessment exercise, and the central bank chairs 3 of the National Risk Assessment Exercise working groups, the groups related to banking, insurance, and other financial institutions. So, as I close, I want to underscore that the collaboration amongst the 3 financial regulators will not weaken defenses around each of our institutions. In fact, these collaborations will be strategic and specific. The alliance will certainly contribute to the detection and suppression of money laundering and terrorism financing activities in our economy. And it will help to facilitate the provision of pertinent information to the relevant authorities who are charged with the power to initiate legal action against those involved in criminal activities. This is an area in which we need to urgently strengthen our capability. So, Dr. Watson, Suzanne, I certainly look forward to strengthening our working relationship, and to a better future for Trinidad and Tobago. I thank you.
Thank you very much. And now let's have another round of applause.